What's happening, y'all? Welcome back to Clown Questions, the show where there are no dumb questions. I'm your host, Matt K. Maurer, and the question that's still on my mind from Sunday night is, did Rodgers pass the torch? I'll answer that question in addition to asking and attempting to answer some other questions. We'll have a first interruption with Governor Scott Landry, is that his name? We have a governor on today. Governor Jeff Landry will be the first interruption. We got a top 10 Goosebump moments of the week, as always. And I'll give you guys my TNF pick, even though you probably will hear it after the Thursday night football game. But that's how confident I am that the pick is going to be right. So who's down to clown?
That's a clown question, bro.
So did Rodgers pass the torch? Honestly, this isn't even like a clown question. This shit is real. Actually, maybe it is a dumb question because the answer is obvious. Yes, Aaron Rodgers passed the torch. The question I've written on here has a little parentheses behind it. Maybe not a good time to do this one because, one of my roommates, my brother, I don't live at home with my parents, but he's a Steelers fan, and he was not pleased with the result of that game. He was pissed at me before the game even started, so he'll be even more pissed to hear this question. But yes, it seems that Aaron Rodgers has passed the torch without even going in depth into the exact stats. Actually, I have a pretty good stat here. It seemed like not Aaron. He was looking like Aaron. Jordan Love pretty much played perfect on that Sunday night football game, Packers versus Steelers, Rodgers versus Love. Love was amazing. He was something to marvel at. I believe at one point in the game, he had a streak of 20 straight completions. And man, it was just fun to watch. The Steelers kind of controlled the first half, largely in part to a dominant performance from Chris Boswell. 20 fantasy points, getting me clutching up for me in my fantasy league to beat the Syndromites. We don't need to go into whose team that is. That is their team name though. But yeah, hard not to watch that Packers Steelers game and think that it was somewhat of a symbolic passing of the torch. I mean, that is the symbol we're using when we're talking about going from one quarterback to the other. But yeah, man, our Packers fans, man, are we spoiled rotten. We are blessed. This is what our third quarterback in feels like 30 years. Yeah, we've had backups with injuries play along the way, but largely we've only had three guys quarterbacking our team for 3 decades. We went from an elite player in Brett Favre to an elite player in Aaron Rodgers, who's even better, 4-time MVP, first ballot Hall of Fame, both of them with the Super Bowl. And now we have Jordan Love. And yeah, he learned under the tutelage of Aaron Rodgers. And Rodgers was probably regretting that a little bit on Sunday night as he watched Jordan Love slice and dice the Steelers. Tucker Kraft, what a performance. National Tight Ends Day. I think he had, a 60-yard catch at one point, 2 touchdowns, just dominant. Top 5 tight end in the league for my money. But yeah, now that I think about it, it's a pretty dumb question because the answer is obvious. Yes, Rodgers passed the torch. Love is the heir to the throne. I believe his birthday is this Sunday against the Panthers when he will turn 27. And I'm not jinxing nothing because I have been told I'm the jinx master. But let's just say when Brett Favre won his Super Bowl, he was 27. When Aaron Rodgers won his Super Bowl, he was 27. It's his birthday this week, and guess what Love is turning? I'm not even going to say it, but this Packers team is definitely a contender. They're the 1 seed in the NFC with a shiny record of 5-1-1. I really like that. I'm hoping we can win another 5 in a row because how satisfying would it be to look at the record of 11-1-1? And there's my the jinx that I put on every show. We're probably not making it to 11-11-1 after I brought that up. Yeah, not an easy schedule. You still got to play the Lions on Thanksgiving and a number of other good teams. You got the Eagles on Monday Night Football. But yeah, I'm rambling, and yeah, it's a biased take because I'm a huge Jordan Love fan. But I think anyone with a brain watched that, and not that they couldn't have confirmed before that the Packers had their franchise quarterback, but anyone who was doubting Jordan Love is starting to look pretty silly. Colin Cowherd was singing his praise Monday morning, and everyone his comments flooded him with, "Hey, wasn't it like only 3 or 4 years ago that you said Jordan Love was just a backup?" Well, now he's the Packers franchise quarterback, hopefully for a decade plus to come. And yeah, the torch has been passed. Excited to see if Jordan Love can maybe keep up this pace, maybe sneak his way into the MVP conversation. But yeah, it's hard not to be excited as a Packers fan. Not only do we have an elite defense, but clearly, for my money and for most people's money, we have an elite quarterback as well. But let's move on from my biased takes as a Packers fan with my next question. Who's new on the block? There's a number of people new on the block this week. I'll start out with the oldest person new on the block in Denver. The Broncos have signed Mercedes Lewis. I believe they signed him to the practice squad initially. Some of their tight ends are banged up, so he could very well be called up this week or next week, but I do hope he gets called up, and I hope he plays in a game, because if Mercedes Lewis gets even a single snap in one of these Broncos games, he would become the oldest tight end to ever play in an NFL game at age 41. Big dog. Shout out Big Dog. Feels like he's played for every team in the league. He played for my Packers. Great blocking tight end. He'll get you a touchdown when you need it. And yeah, like I said, if he plays a snap, he'll be the oldest tight end ever. If he catches a pass, he will become only the third player in NFL history to catch a pass at age 41 or older. The only two others are Jerry Rice, of course, Seahawks Jerry Rice, or was it Raiders Jerry Rice? I forget the end of his career. Wasn't alive for it, or I was 9 months old or whatever. But yeah, Jerry Rice and Tom Brady. Tom Brady. Those are the only other people to have caught a pass at 41. I forget why Tom Brady caught a pass. It was some some trick play that really didn't make sense. Ooh, we've got a trade in the fantasy football league. One of the 8, or what am I at, 9? Too many. I would like to leave a number of leagues. The waivers are a chore at this point. But yeah, shout out Mercedes Lewis, still playing the NFL at age 41. Very, very impressive. That's all I can say there. Who else is new on the block? CJGJ, otherwise known as Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, but most well known as CJ Gardner-Johnson. He is headed to Chicago, and I really like the signing there. Kind of shores up their secondary a little more, gives them some depth, gives them a guy who can start. I think he's pretty versatile, where he can kind of play corner and or safety. But yeah, I really like the move for the Bears, and I don't know, I think his kind of trash talking mentality kind of fits right in with that Bears culture. So I don't know. I'm hoping Mr. Jordan Love stays away from CJGJ, because I don't know, I have a pretty high opinion on him, but yeah, he got cut earlier in the year by, the Texans, and now he's on the Bears. So yeah, a good signing for the Bears there. And to use another acronym other than CJGJ, MVS. MVS is new on the block, but not new to his quarterback, but he is new to Pittsburgh. The Steelers have signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Like, Rodgers, I don't think he doesn't care. He doesn't care if people think he's like partly the GM on whatever team he's on, but he has to be. He has to be partly the GM, because no offense to Alan Lazard or Randall Cobb or Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I love them all because they all played for my team. But let's be honest, if Rodgers wasn't on the team, They're not making that signing. Now, maybe it's not a situation where it's like lead GM, LeBron making these trades. People are making fun of the group text leaked where LeBron said WTF after Anthony Davis gets traded. It's like Tim Robinson. Like we're all looking around for the guy who did this. Yeah, everyone thinks LeBron traded Anthony Davis, which I would not doubt. But yeah, maybe it's not a thing where Rodgers is the GM, but if they're struggling in the receiver department, yeah, he could go get a guy off the street, but why not get one of his former teammates who he already has that chemistry with, less practice time. They probably know some of the playbook already, because obviously whoever gets Rodgers, they're going to tailor their playbook to him. I don't know if the Jets did that. The Jets probably didn't do that because they were pretty bad. But yeah, I don't know. I like the signing for the Steelers. Obviously, outside of DK Metcalf, they don't really have any stars at the wide receiver position. You did see a little flash from Roman Wilson in that Packers game. He burnt the hell out of Keyshawn Nixon. No offense to my bro K9, who by the way he's a new leader in the clubhouse for coldest Sunday Night Football intro. Keyshawn Nixon, Compton. Come on, that's hard as fuck. And I don't have any dollars on me, but I do need to put $1 in the F-bomb jar, so I will put this Post-it note in the Post-it note labeled F-bomb jar. But yeah, where was I? Good move for the Steelers. MVS, maybe not as fast as he was in his prime, but still a guy who can definitely stretch the field, and a guy who already has kind of that timing down with Aaron Rodgers, which will be huge for the Steelers, and I think will be a great addition to their receiving core. The only other person who's new on the block, actually is not new on the block. He's been in New Orleans for a while, but Tyler Shuck. He's not new there, but he's newly minted as the New Orleans Saints starters. The Saints have named Tyler Shuck their starter. The podcast didn't pause. I just took a very long pause because I don't know. My mom told me if I don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. I don't have much nice to say about Tyler Shuck, but to be fair, I don't know. I've seen him play like 4 plays in the NFL. I think Spencer Rattler got benched for him late in the game on Sunday, but yeah, Shuck didn't really have much of a chance to make an impression on us. So I don't know. I'll save my stupid opinion for next week after we see how Shuck does in his first week as starter. But yeah, Saints kind of I don't want to say they continue to tank. They're just kind of in no man's land here, and maybe they're tanking for Fernando Mendoza. I don't know. I thought people were tanking for Arch Manning, but he hasn't been quite the superstar everyone thought he would be. But I'm getting off topic. Let me get to my next question, which is a doozy. Was that a soft benching? I don't know. If you've been hearing about the soft benching, by the way, that term is being thrown around so much now, probably too much. Probably thanks to Pardon My Take. They're like, yeah, anytime someone's like kind of hurt, or I'm gonna call it a soft benching. But of course, the soft benching that started all this soft benching talk was JJ McCarthy. He had a high ankle sprain, and people kind of, I don't know, they didn't really look into the injury, and they said, yeah, he's probably injured, but he's not ready for the NFL, and the Vikings want to give him more time to learn and develop behind Carson Wentz. No offense, Carson Wentz, because I have a lot of respect for Carson Wentz, especially now after he underwent season-ending surgery. And the reason I have a lot of respect is because he was playing through hell. It kind of reminiscent of Baker Mayfield playing with one arm on the Browns before they traded him in horrific fashion. One of the dumbest decisions the Browns have ever made. But yeah, Carson Wentz, this was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I don't know. We haven't had a London game in a while, so I forget how long ago it was. But in the first half of that London game, Carson Wentz dislocated his shoulder. It tore his labrum and fractured the shoulder socket per Ian Rappaport. He then went on to gut out 2.5 more games for the Vikings with a big stabilizing brace on as J.J. McCarthy recovered. And yeah, I don't, if anyone watched that Thursday night game last week, what was it, Chargers versus Vikings, Carson Wentz was grimacing basically the entirety of the game. So yeah, you have to feel bad playing through a lot of pain. But you got to give the guy credit. Tough as hell. He stayed out there, but yeah, it kind of makes you wonder, like, was JJ maybe ready? Was it a soft benching, or maybe it was a hard starting for Carson Wentz? This is obviously all speculation, but the initial report on J.J. McCarthy is what makes this situation pretty murky, because the initial report was, high ankle sprain, J.J. McCarthy will be out 2 to 4 weeks. And then Schefter, weeks later, kind of at the end of this 4-week period, Schefter like kind of backtracks on this, but pretends that he's not backtracking. And Schefter's like, yeah, so like we said, it was a 6 to 8 week injury for JJ McCarthy. It's always been a 6 to 8 week injury. And everyone's pointing at Schefter like, well, what are you talking about? We literally, we can go back and look at your old tweets. You realize we can see your old tweets. Your old tweet said 2 to 4. Now you're saying it's always been 6 to 8, and you said you never reported anything otherwise. Not true. But yeah, that's where it kind of makes you wonder what, did McCarthy's agent or did McConnell get on the phone and be like, just tell everyone he's still hurt. And I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. I did think it was a soft benching, but it would be kind of ridiculous to have Carson Wentz playing through that. And that was kind of the take I was going to have until I saw a quote from Carson Wentz. This was, I don't know if it was yesterday, recent quote from him. He said, "I'm not an idiot. I know what I was signing up for going out there. Nobody was forcing me, pressuring me." So yeah, that was going to be my take, is that why would the Vikings force this man to play just so JJ McCarthy could learn a little bit? I don't know. So I guess my conclusion to this question is no, it was not a soft benching, because that would be pretty messed up to do a soft benching when the guy starting over him has his shoulders. It's like the meat falling off the bone of the turkey leg. Sorry, that's so mean, Carson Wentz. But I wish you well, Carson Wentz. He'll have surgery soon. I believe he's having a baby soon. So yeah, shout out Carson Wentz playing through all of that. Warrior. But yeah, out for the season. And yeah, I'm excited. I think, again, I think McCarthy's starting this week. So it's like, okay, like a week and a half later, McCarthy's ready to go. It just seems a little, I don't know. It seems a little murky. But again, Wentz said no one was forcing him to do it. Let me get to my next question. Anything else happen? There's a question that's an incomplete sentence, and the answer is yes. I got 2 bullet points for you here. 2 bullet points about 2 white boys. I don't know why I'm talking about their race. That's not relevant at all. But Aiden Hutchinson and Cam Skattebo, we've got good news and bad news. Do you want the bad news or the good news first? Let's go with the bad news first. Get that out of the way. Cam Skattebo, really unfortunate. He is done for the year. Essentially, if you didn't watch the game, Skattebo dislocated his ankle. No need to go online and look up the video because it's gruesome. But the word picture I'm going to paint you is just as gruesome. His ankle bent, and not in the way your foot usually bends, but to the side. So that's kind of all you need to know. The second you see that, you know his season's done. And apparently Skattebo, he tried to get up at first. He's like, no, let me walk it off. And they look down, they're like, Scat, that's not what a foot is supposed to look like. So, yeah, really unfortunate for Cam Skattebo. Was really fun to watch. But of course, I don't know. You can't blame his play style for this injury. I would say you could blame his play style if it were a concussion, because, he kind of likes to lead with the helmet a little bit. You could even go after the Badger, Zach Bond, on the play that happened. I don't think it was called, but it was a hip drop tackle. It was the definition of a hip drop tackle. And how do I know that? Because he dropped his hips and then landed on Scadaboo's ankle, which bent. So Bond, that should have been a hip drop tackle flag on you. But yeah, I don't know if that got thrown, but yeah, sad to see Scadaboo go. Especially when he's dominating. He's dominating for my Madden franchise. I've been talking shit back and forth with my brother, who we're in a rushing title race between Cam Scadaboo and Kyler Murray. He's just running with his quarterback. Kyler Murray, I think's got like 100 more yards than Scadaboo in, on half the carries. But I'm getting the tough yards. I'm going up the middle, up the gut, helmet first. That's running the ball the old-fashioned way. Kyler Murray, you're just doing 4 verticals, doing a little bootleg, wide open space. Fast Murray, that's the easy way to get the rushing yards. But Scadaboo, he earns those yards the hard way. The ethical hoops from Cam Scadaboo, basically. But yes, really unfortunate for Scadaboo. Really unfortunate for the Giants. Their 2 best offensive players, Malik Neighbors tore his ACL, now Scadaboo with the dislocated ankle. Tough way to start off your rookie career for Scadaboo, and your rookie career for Jackson Dart. Your 2 go-to offensive weapons are done for the year. So yeah, we'll see where the Giants go from here. They were such a fun team, and that was not fun. They're gonna be a lot less fun, but yeah, Jackson Dart's still entertaining, and I guess if you still want the Giants to be fun, we can root for a little bit of Jameis action at this year. I'm not rooting for Dart to get hurt, but maybe at the end of the year when they've been eliminated from the playoffs, they're like, all right, Dart, we don't want you to get hurt. Let's give the people what they want. Let's give Jameis a game. I would love to see that. The other thing that happened was Aiden Hutchinson signed a 4-year, $180 million extension. Included $141 million guaranteed. Excuse me for my internal burp there, but I believe that $140 million guarantee number is the highest amount of guaranteed money for a non-quarterback in NFL history. But you know me, I'm pretty petty. The first thing I checked when I saw Aiden Hutchinson signs the extension was, wait, how does it compare to my guy, Micah Parsons? How does it compare to his contract? I wanted to make sure that we knew Micah is a better player than Aiden Hutchinson. They're both very good. Hutchinson is right there. I wouldn't say on the same footing as Micah, but a step away. If he takes that next step, he'll be right there with Parsons and Garrett and Watt and the best of them. But yeah, me being petty, I looked it up and said, is Micah, did he get paid more than Micah? And I looked it up. Micah, $188 million. So $8 million better of a player, according to the Lions and Packers and those pass rushers agents. But yeah, really hate that Jordan Love has to deal with Hutchinson in the NFC North for at least 4 more years in addition to whatever's left on his contract. But yeah, you can't fault the Lions for signing one of the best young defensive players who will be the anchor of their defense for years to come. Let's get to the weirdest story I think I have on the show today. Maybe the most entertaining story. Maybe I should have led with this question, but who's LSU hiring? I don't know, and I'm probably not even going to answer that question. I could throw out some random names, but I don't know that. What I'm more interested in is who is in charge of hiring LSU's next head coach. If you didn't hear, LSU fired Brian Kelly. The way they reported was LSU dismisses Brian Kelly. I don't know if they just wanted to put it in nicer language, but I don't know why they'd want to put it in nicer language, because everything you've heard is that Brian Kelly is a jackass. Maybe not a jackass, but an asshole. He's pretty mean. Sorry to my my relatives who are hearing my filthy potty mouth here, but Brian Kelly gets fired. And yeah, no one really came out and defended Kelly. A story that I heard is hilarious. Apparently, Kelly, when he took the LSU job, he was at a recruit's house. He went out and, took the call, accepted the LSU job, and then went back into the recruit's house and ate the burnt ends his mom cooked. So pretty hilarious that, a guy who was probably, I think he was recruiting elsewhere, not to LSU. He takes the job and takes the burnt ends with him. Brisket is delicious, but yeah, kind of a messed up move from Brian Kelly there. But I'm not here to talk about Brian Kelly. I'm here to talk about, and I don't like to get political on this show, but I am here to talk about Governor Jeff Landry. That's the first year interruption in a second here, but I would think that the state of Louisiana has bigger problems, but the governor himself has gotten involved in this firing and intends to get involved in the hiring. I think he met with some of the LSU brass before firing him, and he's trying to get involved here. He wants to help them hire their next coach. He does not trust the AD. And here are some quotes I'll read from him, and then I'll play an actual quote when we get to that next segment. But Landry said, my role is about, I was going to do a Southern accent, but that's not good form. My role is about the fiscal effect of firing a coach under a terrible contract. True, $54 million buyout. All I care about is what the taxpayers are going to be on the hook for. Historically, LSU's athletic department has been self-funding, and they do not tap into public money. Before NCAA rule changes allowing college players to be paid, LSU's athletic department would at times even make seven-figure contributions to the university's academic operations. In the case of Kelly's contract, unidentified private donors have pledged to cover the cost of his buyout. If you can't tell, I'm directly plagiarizing an article, and it's plagiarism because I'm not going to list the source here because I don't think YouTube's going to remove the video over this. But yeah, Landry's under the guise. If I'm worried about there's a Southern accent. I'm worried about the taxpayer. I don't want the taxpayer to pay it. And with this buyout, it's already big boosters. It's big donors from LSU that said, we love this football team so much, we will scrounge up the $54 million and pay him to get out of Dodge. But Landry continued to say, if big billionaires want to spend all that kind of money, no problem. But if I've got to go find $53 million, it's not going to be a pleasant conversation. Again, Governor Jeff Landry, no one said you have to find $54 million. There's a lot of rich donors, a lot of rich boosters at LSU, and they are going to pay for the buyout. So who's LSU hiring? I don't know. James Franklin? No, they probably wouldn't do that. I don't know. They'll probably poach. That's what'll happen. LSU will poach a coach that is currently coaching a different school. That is probably what I think will happen. But yeah, evidently, it's not going to be the LSU athletic director who will be doing the hiring. For some reason, the governor of Louisiana is getting involved. And that's why this week's First Year Interruption is with Governor Jeff Landry. So let's just start this First Year Interruption with Governor Jeff Landry, who held an actual press conference to talk about the future of the LSU football program. Really, really important politics here from Governor Jeff Landry. Here he is.
We are not going down a failed path. And I wanted to tell you something. This is a pattern. The guy that's here now that wrote that contract cost Texas A&M $70-something million. Right now, we got a $53 million liability. We are not doing that again. And you know what? I believe that we're going to find a great coach. I mean, maybe we'll let President Trump pick it. He loves winners. I'm not going to be picking the next coach. But I can promise you, we're going to pick a coach, and we're going to make sure that that coach is successful. And we're going to make sure that he's compensated properly. And we're going to put metrics on it. Because I'm tired of rewarding failure in this country and then leaving the taxpayers on the foot, to foot the bill. So, yeah, I absolutely. Who's that?
Scott Woodward.
No. I can tell you right now, Scott Woodward is not selecting the next coach. Hell, I'll let Donald Trump select it before I let him do it. I don't know, but the Board of Supervisors is going to come up with a committee, and they're going to go find us a coach.
So maybe not the governor directly finding the coach, but he's going to help create the search committee to find the coach. again, yeah, he's saying, "Oh, I'm worried about the taxpayers. That's who I'm worried about." No, you're not. You're worried about your precious LSU Tigers. You want them to do well. And again, I think it's completely ridiculous that a governor would get involved in this, but you got to respect it. And now that I think about it, we're having such a hard time firing Luke Fickell at Wisconsin because he's kind of tied to the athletic director, McIntosh. So we kind of need McIntosh fired, and Mnuchin's in charge of doing that. Maybe we take this opportunity from Governor Jeff Landry to reach out to our governor, the governor of Wisconsin. I may or may not have had to Google it, but Tony Evers, if you can hear us, please save us. Please fire Luke Fickell. Please fire McIntosh. Do what you got to do to bring your state's football program back. That's what any good governor would do. Again, I think it's completely ridiculous for Landry to get involved here. He's out here saying, I'd rather get the president involved. I'd rather have the president pick it than, the athletic director, which he kind of has a point, because that athletic director, he previously had been the athletic director at Florida State, who had to fire Jimbo Fisher, and that was an even more expensive buyout. That one was like $70 million plus. Like I said, Kelly's was $54 million. But yeah, don't let the taxpayers foot the bill for your buyout. But what? Let me say this: people in Wisconsin don't like paying taxes. People in any state don't like paying taxes. But if Tony Evers, got on the megaphone, went up at a press conference and said, All right, citizens of Wisconsin, here's what's going on. We can fire Coach Fickell, but we need to increase the tax rate by 2.5%. Who says no? I know people don't like taxes, but 2.5% tax increase to get Luke Fickell fired. I mean, I would take that any day of the week. So yeah, maybe there's a lesson to be learned here from Governor Jeff Landry. I don't know. That might be my favorite first interruption of all time. Never had a governor on here, and I can't even get through this segment without laughing. So let's get to the top 10 Goosebump moments of the week. Starting off with it was a throwback matchup. I have to explain this one because I didn't understand it myself at first. I think it was the Hurricanes against I forget the other team. But basically, it was a throwback game, and what was cool about it is that they wore the throwback uniforms, but then they kind of referred to the team as these old throwback names, used the logos, everything. So I think the Carolina Hurricanes were the winning team here, but the way that it's going to be presented is number 10 moment of the week. The Hartford Whalers beat the Quebec Nordiques on Freddie Anderson's shootout save.
Attempt this year. He'll kick it over the blue line. Coming in on Anderson. And Anderson denies it. Mr. Anderson gets the win. And what a gutsy performance from this Carolina Hurricanes.
Number 9, Virginia stops the 2-point conversion as they escape UNC in OT. Escapes the upset.
Lopez to his left. Throws, it's caught, and Hall did not get in, and Virginia.
Number 8, Cortez Braham Jr. hauls in the game-winning TD for Memphis.
Lewis, end zone, it is caught, inbounds, yes or no? Yes, it's a touchdown! Cortez Braham Jr.
Number 7, Yoshinobu Yamamoto throws his second straight complete game to win World Series Game 2.
Left side, Yamamoto goes the distance again. World Series mastery. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Game 2 of the World Series against the Blue Jays, has thrown a complete.
Number 6, Connor Calvert sneaks in the game-ending 50-yard field goal for Wake Forest as time expires.
Did he get it? Did he? Did he? He did! And unbelievably, Wake Forest has won the game at the buzzer.
Number 5, Jeremy Bernard takes a direct snap to the house to win it late for Bama.
Fake it to Simpson, and Bernard breaks free.
Jeremy Bernard! How about it?
Number 4, Ryan Niblett with an electric 79-yard punt return TD to send Texas and Mississippi State to overtime.
Gets the sideline. Niblett! He's gone! Touchdown, Texas!
Number 3, Austin Reeves hits the floater at the buzzer for a wild Lakers win.
To the hands of Reeves. 5 seconds. 3 seconds. Reeves splits the defense. The floater in the paint. It's good at the buzzer. Austin Reeves does it again.
Number 2, running back Breece Hall throws the game-winning touchdown for the Jets' first win of the year.
Stretch Hall. Boy, thought about it, now tosses to the end zone, and he's got Taylor for the Jets touchdown.
Number 1 moment of the week, Freddie Freeman hits another walk-off homer in the World Series, this time in the 18th inning.
Want to finish it right here. Freeman sends a fly ball to center field. Varsho's going back before the catch strikes me. Freddie Freeman has ended it. It's a repeat hero with the last word on a Game 3 classic. Freddie Freeman, Mr. World Series, ends the marathon at midnight.
How does that happen? How do you... Freddie Freeman is a baller. Freddie Freeman might be the most clutch player in baseball history. How do you hit not one, but 2 separate World Series walk-off home runs? Just incredible stuff. I was really upset about that 18th inning game, not only for the result, because I'm hate watching the Dodgers and rooting for the Blue Jays, who are up 3-2. I do still think the Dodgers probably win that in 7, but I fell asleep in like the 13th inning. I was like trying to stay awake, like kind of taking little naps in between innings. I'm like, all right, 13th inning. I wake up on my couch. It's 5 a.m. My ears are ringing. I'm like, why am I here? And then I remember, I'm like, oh my gosh, the game, and my phone's at 1%, and I look, Freddie Freeman does it again. Just unbelievable stuff from Freddie Freeman. I'm not happy about it, but nothing but respect for that man. I mean, that's impressive as hell. As is Breece Hall, the running back, the trick play to win the game. We're not talking about Justin Fields. We're talking about running back Breece Hall. He threw the game-winning touchdown, pump faked it. People thought he was going to throw it away. No, throw it to Mason Taylor, who had to moss his defender. Kind of a dot from Breece Hall for the winner. How can I not be happy about my Lakers? Austin Reeves, who's been balling, had a 50-piece last week, hits the floater at the buzzer. That was cold AF. I think a lot better of a top 10 this week than last week. A lot of college football in this one. I've been busy during a lot of college football Saturdays this year, and had a full one this past Saturday, which maybe was a little underwhelming, but there's so many college games that there's always something interesting happening, like those game-winning touchdowns I showed you, or that awesome punt return to send it to OT. And shout out Virginia, almost had the upset of the year if they would have lost to UNC there. Yeah, that's all I've got for the top 10 Goosebump moments of the week. Let's finish out the show here with my TNF pick. Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. Tonight, we got Ravens -7.5 at the Miami Dolphins. My pick is going to be the Ravens -7.5. I am so confident in this pick that I realize that most of you will listen to this podcast after the Thursday night game happens, but I'm so confident in the pick that I'll say it here. You can check the timestamp. This will get posted slightly before Thursday Night Football. You won't watch it till after, but this pick will be right. The Ravens will cover that 7.5. Not only is it a get-right game for the Ravens as a whole, for their offense, for Lamar Jackson, who's coming off of injury, this is a get-right game for the Ravens defense. Tua has been throwing a lot of interceptions. I think the Ravens defense, which has been bad this year, takes advantage of that and gets a couple. The Ravens, the defense did look pretty good against the Bears last week, and I don't know, call me crazy, but I could see this Ravens team going on a little run here. So yeah, I definitely like the Ravens to cover here. Ravens by 1 billion. Okay, maybe that might be too much. I was going to say Ravens by 60, but even that's unrealistic. But Ravens by 20 plus. Take the alternate spread. Ravens minus 15. I do think they dominate this game. I don't think the Dolphins are going to have an answer for a probably healthy Lamar Jackson. There was a little funny business going on last week with the injury report, but he will play tonight. And yeah, I got the Ravens winning big in a dominant performance that will make the following not that dumb of a question. Can the Ravens still make the playoffs?